What is going on, Summoners? We're back here today with another Champion Deep Dive. Today, we're talking about Jean Grey. So, sit back and relax, because it's time to get into it. Jean Grey enters the contest with Omega level telepathy, providing immunity to reversed controls, and making all of her attacks deal energy damage. Her second, third, and fourth light attacks inflict a Neuroshock debuff for 18 seconds. These max out at 20 stacks. And when Jean is struck with, or blocks a critical hit, she inflicts an exhaustion debuff for 12 seconds. Also, all of her personal Neuroshock passives deal more damage, max out at 35, and last for 24 seconds. But more on those in just a bit. Now, Jean starts each fight with a force field active, with strength equal to 10% of her max health. This force field is not subject to ability accuracy modification. And whenever she would take damage from anything other than Special 3, the force field takes up to 90% of the damage instead. While active, Jean takes no damage from physical Thorns effects, and the opponent's critical damage rating is reduced by 80%. Once the force field is depleted, Jean lashes out and inflicts a 30% delirium passive for 8 seconds, and the force field goes on cooldown for 24 seconds, before reforming at full strength. This cooldown is reduced by 1.5 seconds each time a debuff is purified off the opponent, and expires 30% slower while Jean is poisoned. Now, when a debuff is purified or cleansed off the opponent while Jean is not performing a special attack, she gains a 12.5% Uncanny passive until the end of her next special attack. Uncanny reduces the amount of power consumed by special attacks and allows her to launch the special at the reduced potency. These max out at 2, and if she were to gain 1 above the stack limit, she instead gains an indefinite psionic charge. These max out at 10. She also gains a psionic charge when a debuff is purified or cleansed off the opponent during her special attacks by a source other than her, and when a personal debuff is prevented by ability accuracy reduction. This last one has a 35% chance and doesn't trigger against opponents with the Psychic Shielding tag. The first hit of her heavy purifies up to 3 debuffs off the opponent, and grants Jean 1 psionic charge if the opponent is not stunned. The final hit inflicts 2 personal Neuroshock debuffs and grants Jean no power if she's above 1 bar. Now, let's check out her special attacks. During her special attacks, personal Neuroshock, Daunted, and Delirium effects are paused. And after the first hit, she has a 100% chance to inflict a Delirium passive for 2 seconds. While defending, this becomes a 50% chance, and she also consumes up to 3 psionic charges to inflict a personal Neuroshock passive for each charge consumed. The first hit of her Special 1 purifies all Neuroshock and non-damaging debuffs off of the opponent and consumes all psionic charges. And for each debuff purified and each charge consumed in this way, she inflicts a personal Neuroshock passive. The final hit also inflicts 2 to 4 additional Neuroshock passives. With the Special 2, on activation, she inflicts a non-stacking 35% potency Daunted passive for 20 seconds. And each hit deals a burst of energy damage for each Neuroshock on the opponent, and for each psionic charge on Jean. The final hit consumes 50% of her psionic charges, rounded down. The Special 3. Jean adds a flat 100% strength to her force field if active, or reactivates it at full strength if not. Then, she inflicts a personal Neuroshock passive for every 20% of the force field's remaining strength. Now, let's check out her signature ability. When awakened, while her force field is active, using the parry mastery inflicts a 1.5 second stun passive. Skill champions cannot reduce the ability accuracy of this stun. Additionally, increased control over her mutation allows her to retain one uncanny passive after her special 1, and the duration of her personal Neuroshock passives are increased by up to 8 seconds. Now, let's take her out for a spin in the champion rotation. To begin, strike the opponent with your light attacks to stack on your Neuroshock debuffs. If the opponent doesn't natively purify or cleanse debuffs, you can use your heavy attack to purify those Neuroshocks and start gaining your Uncanny passives and Psionic charges. Uncanny allows you to use less power when consuming your specials. So, build to just under your new Special 2 while continuing this process, and launch your Special 1 to consume your charges and inflict your Neuroshock passives. From here, build up to your Special 2 and launch to inflict your Daunted and deal a burst of energy damage for each Neuroshock and Psionic charge. If the opponent isn't already knocked out, just repeat until they are. Now, if the opponent just loves to purify those debuffs, don't worry too much about your heavy attack and just fight normally to stack on, well, try to stack on those debuffs and profit from the easy Psionic charges. Then, go crazy with those Neuroshock passives and turn them into mind-blowing bursts of Psionic energy. And hey, that force field can really come in handy when it comes to absorbing damage if you happen to mess up. And don't forget, when awakened, her parry stun becomes a passive, allowing you to fight those skill champions who don't really love receiving stun debuffs without messing up your loop. So, stay aggressive and revel in those uncanny bursts of big red damage. Thank you for watching this Champion Deep Dive for Jean Grey. And hey, if you liked the video and want to see more, click subscribe, like, comment, and share. And if you haven't already, join the official Marvel Contest of Champions Discord and come discuss. And remember, we'll see you in the battle round.